This is Six Tackles with Gus, with Matthew Thompson and Gus Gould.
Welcome to another episode of Six Tackles with Gus. Great to be back with you. We are down to business with a full weekend of footy coming your way. 3 cracking games live and free here on 9. We'll have a very comprehensive preview of all the games to come in part 2 of round 1. A couple of exciting results in Vegas. What did Gus make of the victories by Manly and the Roosters? A rather large judiciary drama to have a quick chat about. And, of course, plenty of Ask Gus questions from you. Welcome, Gus.
Matthew Thompson, how are you doing?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Really good, thank you.
I've had so many texts and social media messages wondering how your reunion went last week.
Brilliant. Yeah, great day. Great day. Boys had a good time. The Bulldogs, you get your own number, your own player number, everyone that's played in the NRL. So a number of the fellas, and we give them a jersey with their number on it.
Excellent.
But a lot of the fellas we hadn't been able to catch up with over the years and go, so we had a little presentation there, and then we told some old stories about the old days. And
any you can repeat?
No. And yeah, it was a great day. Good to catch up with them.
What's your Bulldog number?
464, I think. 464.
Very good. Who's number 1?
That I can't
Do you want
tell.
me to have a look?
Yeah, I think it was.
Is it online?
It should be.
Canterbury Bulldogs player numbers. List of Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs players. It's Jack Morrison, who played 18 games, 3 tries and a goal from 1935. Played 1 year, 35 to 36. There you are.
Mm.
That's really good. The number things actually. It hasn't been. Am I right in saying it's been a relatively recent innovation in rugby league? But it's something that I think it's taken on great significance with a lot of clubs. It's like your test cap number when you play for Australia.
Yeah, back when I first started playing, you weren't aware of any number. It wasn't back there in the 70s and 80s. It became something that was brought after that. And then you were interested to go back and find, I think the Panther number was 129. I'm not sure about my Newtown number. I'm not sure about my South number. But I think Bulldog I was 464.
464.
And it's now, with the gear issue that you get each year, so I get a bag and a backpack and some gear. My number's on my bag, even though I'm the general manager. My playing number's on the bag and everything like that, yeah.
Sense of family.
Culture. Well, it is, and the Bulldogs do it good. They send you a nice cut medal, so I've got a medal at home with my number on it, and we used to get a silver Bulldog, like the Bulldogs you see on the Mack trucks. That used to be our man of the match thing, with the players player thing. We used to get the silver Bulldog on a little mantle, but it was good. It was a great catch up. Anyway, the boys had a few beers and enjoyed themselves.
Did you behave yourself?
I did, very much so.
Good on you.
Very much so.
What's your favourite piece of sporting memorabilia?
My favourite piece of sporting memorabilia.
Have you got a lot? You'd have offloaded heaps over the years, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I gave a lot away, and when you move houses, you sort of put it in boxes and you don't get it back out.
For 30 years, yeah.
Yeah, Mum kept a little bit.
Yeah.
Mainly me junior stuff and that, trophies and that sort of thing. Memorabilia. Probably the game balls or the man of the match things that were voted by players. Not so much other ones you got, but they're the sort of ones. I've got
got any horse racing stuff?
Yeah, I got a few pictures. If I've got a horse, they've got to win a race before you can get a photo of it. So I haven't got too many of them. But I got They're my 2 great loves: horse racing.
What about golf? Any golf stuff?
I got a couple of golf awards. Yeah. When I was playing, good.
You're not the type to stick your hand up at an event for an auction item, are you?
I've bought some stuff at charities over the years. So I've got a really nice hat in a box that was signed by Tiger Woods and Payne Stewart and Jack Nicklaus. And
there's a bit of memorabilia.
Yeah, I got some nice golfing ones there. That would probably be the most valuable piece I've got. I've got a photo signed by Don Bradman that I bought at an auction, a benefit auction.
Yeah.
A few of that, but I usually buy those and then give them away, or give them away to other sporting things to raise money for or something. So.
You're a good man. I had a winner at Yarra Valley 2 Saturdays ago. Maybe I should get the photo.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to go online and get it.
Maybe I should.
I probably got a dozen photos up around my office and in the bar at home.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not big on it. You know, and I got a lot destroyed. I had a little flood. I got a lot of it destroyed. A lot of my old footy photos and footy team photos, premiership winning photos. You know, they're always, you know, it's always nice to look at them again. But over time, you don't need them.
I texted you a photo yesterday. I saw it pop up randomly online. You was centre stage as coach of the 92 Blues, and you wrote back saying, hell of a team. Ricky Stewart, Laurie Daly, Brad Mackay, David Gillespie, Brad Fittler, Glenn Lazarus, E.T., Tim Brasher, Graham Mackay, David Fairley, Benny Elias, Rod Wishart. That's Terry Hill. Look how young he is.
Mm-hmm.
Ciro, Paul Harrigan.
That's a good side, that one.
That's up there with the best New South Wales teams ever.
Yeah, we won 3 in a row, right?
Yeah.
92 to 94.
What a great side. I love the random paths that we traverse here on Six Tackles with Gus. Let's rip in, shall we?
Yes! No.
Hey.
No.
That's the rule.
No. Dear.
Question 1. Magic round in Vegas.
No.
Why?
Magic round? What do you want to take all 8 teams over there? What do you want to put
17, 16.
You want to play all 8 games, I mean. You want to play all of them.
100%.
No.
Why?
No.
Why?
No. It was nice the way we did it. Just leave it at that for the time being.
You nearly fainted.
Take a whole round to Vegas, crikey.
You know, you'd be hoping the Bulldogs get the bye that week.
Yeah.
Look good, the stadium.
Oh, outstanding. Brilliant stadium. That's where they played the Super Bowl. I had a little short holiday. I just took a week over in Hawaii at the start of February, just before all the madness started, and I was actually sitting and talking to a bloke who worked at the stadium. He was heading back in 2 days' time for the Super Bowl, and they were very proud that it was in Las Vegas. Magnificent stadium, and it went across really well. I mean, it was a great success for what it was intended to do. The follow-up's important if they're going to persevere. A one-off thing like that's not going to achieve what they want to achieve, but it certainly gave prestige to our game. It had people feeling good about our game. It was a nice way to open the season. I think it was very, very, I think the support for it and the popularity back here, the ratings back here were extraordinary. And it was great to see our game on such a stage over there. It makes you feel good about our game and where it's headed. But like I've said many times in talking about the Vegas experiment or the Vegas initiative, they've got to keep going back. They're not going to get impact out of just one weekend like that. And it's yet to be seen what interest it actually gauged in the United States, ratings-wise or viewership, and I believe it, you know. But they've got to go back for 20 years if they want to get a result out of it.
Do you remember in 19 famous events that happened in Vegas? I put together a little list for the game on Sunday. Remember Mike Tyson bit Evander Holyfield's ear off in 97?
There's a lot of famous things there. So I think, and getting back to the Vegas thing, and news, or there was talk last week of the NRL considering purchasing the UK Super League, which I think is a great. I recommended this 4 or 5 years ago. Spoke to the commission about it, that's what they should be looking to do. It's perfect, you know, UK, it's a perfect intermediary between us and the UK going that way. I know it's the longer way, but going that way, I have no doubt that we will see a World Club Challenge in Vegas as part of this season opening or weekend. I have no doubt that we'll see a women's game in Vegas.
So that's the organic growth.
Yeah, that's the organic growth, showing not only the US our product, but showing that the inclusiveness with men and women, showing that we're international, we're across the way. I remember Russell Crowe grabbed me one time. I had a cup of tea with Russell Crowe at Woolloomooloo. And now I am talking out of school, aren't I?
No, you've already told us this one about.
Have I? And he wanted to play a World Cup in the US. And he said, if we go and play a World Cup in the US, and he advertised it, the US would say it's not a World Cup if we're not in it. And he thought that was his mentality about how to do that. But, bringing clubs from England to play against Australian clubs in the US.
You could have a 2-day rugby league.
Well, you could have a 2-weekend thing. So you could play the World Club Challenge the week before, and you could play this one. I don't know about availability and all of that, but if you're going to keep making a noise, and you've got to make a noise, I mean, the amount of people who actually watched the game on US television was very minor. There wasn't many people.
Have we got the numbers on that? Do we know?
I've seen some numbers, and it's it's not significant, nor should it be.
But what's significant in US terms, or you mean like not generally very significant?
Well, they're not significant, no. Yeah. But that wasn't the goal of this. Obviously to get it on the pay channel over there was important, but you're going to have to grow it to get any sort of American audience over there. You've got to go back and keep making a noise. We made a noise on the weekend. It was great. It was great for back here. I mean, the people who followed rugby league loved the fact that we were on that big stage, and it was well publicised back here. It was well hyped back here. The real measure of success is what impact did it have over there, and they've got to keep going back. You can't just do it one off. Nor would I have expected they'd have made a big impact over there. Probably in the local area, maybe they did, but certainly across the US, where he's trying to get the game recognised and where he wants people to gamble on it and all that sort of. They're all lofty ambitions. It's going to take a long time to do that. That's why I say it's a 20-year process. But if you can go back and show them the women participate in it, if you can go back and show them there's opportunities for women and men and sports people and other occupations within our game that are for professional people, you never know what it's going to look like in 20 years' time. I won't live to see it. You will. I won't. But they've got to start somewhere.
What would it look like if the NRL owned the English Super League? So what would the synergies be?
Possibly. Well, it's our game. It's possible. I think we could really help the UK game, and I think we could then get rid of what I think is an ineffective International Rugby League board, and we could have the NRL being the EPL of World Rugby League. The game should emanate here from the NRL. The NRL should run World Rugby League.
No, I agree with that, but I'm wondering, would there be player crossover? Would you?
Well, there is now. I mean, we've got players that go over there anyway.
But could there be a possibility of see players bouncing between competitions?
Development pathways, inter-competitions, getting back to international football, international timetables that go over 5 years. So, there's a lot of things that can help if you've got control of the whole thing. If you've got control of the international game, the UK Super League, which is the second biggest, and we can help New Zealand, which we've got to help. There's a real opportunity in New Zealand, massive opportunity in New Zealand. We've got to have another team there. Right? We really do. We've got to have pathways programs and help them over there. There is a huge opportunity in New Zealand. Pacific Islands, you've seen the huge opportunity there. All right? Bring it all under one banner. Have one body control the lot. That should be the aim. Like I said, I won't live to see it, but someone's got to do it.
Well, I do feel like this expansion into Vegas it's got people thinking big about the game. Well, we wouldn't have sat here 3 years ago talking about.
When's the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago. I wish they'd have done it 20 years ago.
Yeah, but we're thinking about rugby league on a much broader scale.
If you don't start today, it's never going to happen. We are a very small country, Australia. Right? Rugby league's played on the eastern seaboard of Australia. It's not even played all throughout Australia. It's on the eastern seaboard of Australia. We haven't conquered Australia yet. We've got to do that. But you've got to start somewhere. So at least, this was a really important peg in the ground. When did we first go to the moon? We haven't built anything there yet, have we? No.
I don't know whether we can we?
No, I don't.
Sort of Macca's drive-through up there, really.
Well, I went there a long, long time ago. But it's they've gone and they put their flag in the ground. It was great. It was wonderful. And the people all that all went there and took the trip I think it'll become an annual pilgrimage for a lot of rugby league supporters. I want to go and be a part of that.
Well, I can exclusively reveal to you that Six Tackles with Gus will be coming live from Vegas next year. Yes! I have not checked that with anyone, but I've just declared it on air. So it now has to happen.
There's nothing for me in Vegas, baby.
Oh, please. You'll be right in your element.
No.
Yes. No. Any racetrack? Oh, some great golf courses.
All we've done is answer one question.
Yeah, I know.
Your silly suggestion, Magic round in Vegas. No, we're not taking 8 games to Vegas.
So that's a no. Luke Brooks scoring a try at the weekend was the moment of the weekend.
Yes! Yeah, we'll give that a yes. There was a lot of great moments. There really was a lot of great moments during the game, but I'm particularly thrilled for him. I actually sent him a note after the game, and I'm particularly thrilled for him. I've always stuck up for that kid. I reckon he's been hardly done by over the
Very
years,
good.
and he's a terrific kid. Good player.
Have we
too.
organised our sponsorship of Luke Brooks yet, Jordan? Were you working on that? Okay, thanks. James Tedesco's back.
Well, he didn't go away. You can't be brilliant all the time. They're not robots.
Freddie talks about. It was really interesting actually doing Freddie in the 8th with him last week, and now he's not Origin coach. I suppose he's got licence to talk a little bit, and I just sort of said, was he out of form? And he said, well, he wasn't playing as well as he might have, and the way that he compensated for that was just trying to run the ball more.
Yeah.
And basically turn into another back rower. And he's not effective in that manner. He's got to be playing wide off 2 passes.
We spoke about this at the end of last year, and the comments that we made on this podcast, or I made, were taken way out of context about James Tedesco, and we were talking about selection for the Australian side at the end of the year. And at the time, the Roosters didn't look like making the 8, and they weren't having a very good year, and James was a victim of that. He may have been a contributor or he may have been a victim, it doesn't matter. And they didn't look like making the 8. No. And I made the comment, well, the Australian team should be picked on those that are getting through and playing in the big games, and the 2 kids, Dylan Edwards and Reece Walsh, will probably decide that by grand final day who should be playing fullback for Australia. And I said that's the time. I never said any time that James Tedesco doesn't deserve to play for Australia, but he'd been playing plenty. He wasn't going to be in the finals.
Yeah.
And his team had been average up to that point of the year. I know they ended up making a run and getting into the finals. And James certainly wasn't in peak form compared to what he has the previous years, which he self-admitted to himself. Now, that has been a moment of reflection right through the off-season. Mind you, we were right. What happened to Australia when they picked all the incumbents? They got belted 30-0 in the final of that series because this whole thing of picking the incumbents and all that had come back to bite them. No one's commented on that.
So did you upset someone by saying, no, I can't remember? What did you
I
get
think
written up
they
in the paper?
Yeah, well, it was all talked about, people saying he shouldn't be playing for Australia. That's not what we said. That's not what we said. But, Dylan Edwards and Reece Walsh were the 2 form fullbacks of the competition, and we're going to be playing grand final day. I said, why would you want to pick someone that hasn't played for 6 weeks? Which they did. They picked incumbents, and what happened? They got lapped.
Anyway, he's back.
Yeah.
And you like the way they used him? They used him. You can sort of tell the way that the Roosters play that there's been a concerted effort to try and make sure they get the best out of him.
If he was a victim of the Roosters' poor form or poor preparation for season 2023, he has benefited from the better team ethos this year. Now that's one of the best first round performances we've seen from the Roosters in a long time.
Hold that thought. Last question in yes, no. I quite like this one. The Trbojevic boys, Tom, Jake and Ben, will be mentioned alongside the Mortimers, the Ellers, the Walters and the Hugheses when they finish their careers.
Yes! Yeah, why wouldn't they be?
3 sets of brothers.
Yeah.
He went really good, didn't he, young
he's a good player.
Ben.
He's a good player. Yeah, he's different to the other 2. Yeah, but he's a good player. No risk, he's a good player. Well, look at the difference Tom makes. Like in our preview of the season, I said Manly's fate comes down to one player.
He was so good.
And it's no good arguing the point. It's 100% right. If he plays, they'll be top 4. If he doesn't play, they can be bottom 4. That's just how it is. He is hugely influential, one of the more influential players in the game. I think on this podcast a couple of years ago I said he was the most influential attacking force in the game by a long way. And then he's had sort of injuries since that then with hamstring and shoulder and all of that. But you saw again his impact, and to think that he's had that amount of time off and come back and done that.
And looks dead set ripped. Looks fantastic.
He's a terrific kid. He's a terrific kid and a phenomenal footballer, but a significant influencer of the scoreboard. Manly were always going to win that game. You could just feel it. And the score ended up reflecting their dominance. But Tom Trbojevic was such a huge part of that. Now, James Tedesco has benefited from what the Roosters and their preparation. The Roosters, you want me to hold that thought? No,
you can go now because I wanted to segue into the 2 games. Nicely done. See, that's 30 years of broadcasting from you. You've done it beautifully. 11 tries in that game. Six tries for Manly, 5 for Souths. Souths hit the front. They scored twice straight after half time, but from then on it was Manly just put them to the sword.
Always felt Manly were going the better. They had a couple of tries disallowed too. I thought there was something a little bit streaky about South Sydney's efforts. South Sydney's defence always looked to me as though it was going to crack under the pressure, and it did. conceding 36 points on that sort of ground, smaller 10 metres, smaller in goals, is not a good way to open the season from them. Manly were quite. Manly, it was frustrating for the first half because I think they could feel their dominance, but just couldn't quite reflect it on the scoreboard. Second half started with a bang. South went bang, bang. I said, crikey, I must have been watching the wrong game. I can't believe this happened. Same thing. But then it sort of turned very, very quickly and Manly run roughshod them. So I thought the score could have been far greater. I thought the dominance could have been on the scoreboard far greater, and it was a good performance by Manly. Some concerns there for South. Obviously, they've got Jack Whiten to come back yet, which will help enormously. And it is only round one. It's kind of like, all right, they've got 2 weeks to get ready for their next one now. You're not writing anyone off at this stage of the season, but Tom Trbojevic, outstanding.
Outstanding. As good as he's gone. Now, the other one, you mentioned the Roosters. Now, this is just the fourth time under Trent Robinson's coaching that they've won in the opening round of the competition.
Yeah, it's they do things a little different. I remember when Jason Riles went from being assistant coach at the Melbourne Storm to assistant coach at the Roosters. Obviously, two great coaches in Robinson, or great records in Robinson and Bellamy, but there was a real different philosophy and intensity to the beginning of the season. He said, at Melbourne Storm, we were flatlining. He said, we were, redlining to get to the first season. And Craig Bellamy has not lost an opening season game. And Melbourne used to, put their dominance on the cards really early, where Roosters tend to try and build and get ready for September. They want to be at their peak then. And it's sometimes let them down a little bit. Their first game
last 2 years.
Well, last year they got belted by Redcliffe up there at the Dolphins up there in Brisbane. So I think there's been a little bit of soul searching there. And being on the big stage of Vegas, knowing they were going across there, they wanted to go across and put their best foot forward, has obviously led to a different mindset because they were good. They weren't great.
No, they weren't.
They weren't great. They scored their first try in the 51st minute despite having a heap of possession. The only other try came was an intercept, so that was handed to them. Their first try came in the 51st minute, and they only scored a couple of tries where they ran them in. But once they got the intercept to Manu, their fitness and their defence was able to be used cleverly. Right?
So Manu scored with the intercept after 4 minutes.
Yeah.
And then they ran a try on their own merits in 51.
50, yeah, that's what I'm saying. They scored their first try in the 51st minute. Manu scored an intercept, but that's not your attacking game.
No.
They had a mountain of ball in that 51 minutes, but finally got across the line. And it came with a miracle Manu flick pass out the back and around his backside to get the ball to the winger.
Some would say out of his backside.
Yeah, but they were able, because they got to the front early, they were able to use their defence to frustrate the Broncos, who were off their game. Broncos, they looked fresh and they looked fast, but they didn't look cohesive.
No.
They've lost some experience with, Farnsworth and Flegler and Capewell missing. They're big outs. They lost their young back rower in the first couple of minutes and had to make a bit of a change. And they looked clunky. They looked really out of sorts. You felt like they might break through and do it. And when they scored the try after half-time, I thought, well, they could get on a roll, but they just didn't. And Roosters were able to smother them and frustrate them out of it, keep getting some repeat sets, and eventually Roosters were able to win on the scoreboard. I wouldn't call it an outstanding performance. I would call it a reward for what looks like it's been a lot of hard work physically during the off-season, mentally to get themselves ready, and their defence was good. That was back to the Roosters' defence that has made them a great club for a long period of time. So they were able to use that to advantage. Their attacking game still has a lot of work to do, but they've got the players that can obviously do that. And they weren't playing slouches. They were playing last year's grand finalists, albeit missing a few players. I thought the Broncos were clunky.
And it's not a criticism. Reece Walsh, I thought he almost tried too hard. Like Probably. He was trying to knock out play whenever he got the ball.
It kind of looked to me like mentally they hadn't quite focused in on the event or the game. It was kind of like it was just to continue on from last year, or maybe trying to put last year's grand final out of their mind. They wanted it, looked like they wanted it over early, and they just didn't have the cohesion. They didn't have the calmness about them. And Roosters, who are no slouches either, were able to smother them. Look at the Roosters roster. Look at the players who didn't play on the weekend.
I know.
Look at the team they put on the field. Look at the blokes who didn't play, didn't get in that 17. Jared Warrior-Hargreaves, Angus Crichton, Billy Smith, Connor Mason, Connor Watson, and the new boy Dominic Young. They weren't even in the 17.
Yes. You don't hold
It's
a
a
grudge,
strong.
do you?
It's a strong roster, isn't it?
It's not bad. It's not bad. All right.
And if they continue to defend like that, they'll be one of your top 4 sides in the competition.
Now, I'm scared to talk about this because I don't. What is a fullback supposed to do? Their job is to save a try.
Don't come up. Don't bring up the shoulder charge.
What do they want them to do?
Don't bring
do
up
they
the
want the fullback to let them score the try?
Don't bring up.
But I'm serious.
Don't
Like Billy Slater, maybe the greatest fullback ever, has said repeatedly that it is far more dangerous for a fullback to come over in cover and try and wrap around the ball carrier. It is far more dangerous. Now, if anyone would know, it's him. So maybe ring him and ask him, how has Reece Walsh been charged and fined? This is ridiculous. Like next, there's going to be letting them score next. Any comment?
No. You've heard what I've had to
Talk
say.
to Billy. What
I want, right? And I've asked for this, and no one's ever done it. No one from the NRL's ever done it, either from judiciary or anywhere else down there. The one thing I want to ask him is, if you don't want that to be the way to tackle, you tell us how you think it should be done.
You've got to wrap your arms around him.
You tell us how you should be done.
Well, that's what they're saying.
You'll knock yourself out.
I know.
You'll knock yourself out.
Or that, or you'll wrench your shoulder out.
You'll knock yourself out.
Look, it's just
You'll knock yourself
ridiculous.
out, or you'll knock him out.
And as a coach, if you were, and not that you ever would, if that rule was in place now, when you for your fullback, you can't shoot, what would you say to your fullback?
Knock him over the sideline. Save the try.
Yeah.
And it's the safest way to do it.
Yeah, I know.
It is the safest way.
You're just pushing him out.
But we went through all this when they changed the shoulder charge rule. You know, it should just be exclusively for head contact. You know, but we've been down this road 1,000 times. But no one anywhere from judiciary, from management, or where, no one at the NRL can put their head up and say, well, this is what he should have done. Tell us what he should have done in that situation, right? And I'll guarantee you that anything you come up with would be more dangerous to both players than what actually happened.
Well, the serious element...
It was a safe collision.
It was
They trained for this,
fine.
mate. They trained for this,
I
mate.
know.
This is what they train for. This is why they play the game. We play for the physicality. This is what we are, right? But what actually happened in that instance was the most effective and the safest way to save the try and affect the tackle.
Well, you're right. That's the
Both
head-on
players got
shoulder
it.
charge I don't want. It's not a head-on shoulder charge.
We know the shoulder charge. We know the shoulder charge that's dangerous, that showed lack of care. It should be the care factor. It shouldn't be look,
No, look, I know. I wanted to bring it up because I can't.
Have someone explain to me.
It is riling me to death.
Have someone explain to me what he should have done. If that's illegal and you want to fine it, what should he have done?
He's doing what the coach wants him to do and what his position demands of him. He's the fullback. He's the last line of defence.
He's doing exactly what he's trained to do. He's doing exactly what he's done his whole life. And that, you know, it's, yeah, don't start me on that.
Talk to Billy.
Don't start me on that.
Hashtag talk to Billy.
Don't start me on that.
All right. I don't know there's much we can add to the Spencer Leniu thing. Everyone knows the situation. He's alleged to have made a racially inspired comment. He's been sent to the judiciary on a contrary conduct charge. The only thing I would say is that there's been a lot of commentary around this, including from current players who normally don't comment on these situations, but clearly we're venturing into an area that's very sensitive here.
Yeah, well, what they should be doing is having the judiciary hearing tonight, not waiting for the completion of the first round, which I think he's not going to be heard till next week.
Yeah, it's crazy.
They've got to get it out of the media now. It's a real shame that what was a great weekend for the game and really enjoyable stuff, this has dominated the headlines since then. It's an uneducated thing for a player to do. It's a naive thing for a player to do, to think that you can do that in this day and age. It's unacceptable. Move on. But what it's done in the media for the next 3 or 4 days bubbling, that's more damage. And, we can't leave ourselves open to that. It was an uneducated thing for him to do. Deal with it. move on. Let's get it out of the media.
Yeah, I think the aftermath has been very regrettable.
It has been.
Actually, and I think some of the actions of Spencer Leniu in the wake of that have been very lamentable.
Well, he'll pay the penalty for that.
Yep. AskGus. It's only round one based on Sunday's games. Have you changed your mind about where any of the teams will finish on the ladder? Asks Phil. Only seen 2 games.
What are they? No,
Manly.
no,
Manly, baby.
Well, I said Manly. If Tom
Get
stays
on
fit,
the bandwagon.
what did I say about Manly?
You said they couldn't win the comp.
I said, yeah, I did.
Have you changed your mind about that?
No.
No.
What did I say about Broncos?
They're 10 to beat.
Yeah. Happy with that.
Well,
what did I say about South?
You're not convinced about Souths.
Happy with that.
Yep.
What did I say about Roosters?
They got the best roster you've ever seen.
Happy with that. I'm not changing my opinion after week 1.
Shane asks, obviously a Bulldog fan, any chance Carl Olawapu will be on the field this year?
No.
Oh, poor kid. Who do you think will be the next 4 teams in Vegas? Apart from 6 tackles.
Don't know. I think the teams that went there would love to go back again.
You reckon?
Yeah, I think everyone that's gone there has enjoyed the weekend and enjoyed what it was. Others will probably feel more comfortable about doing it. I think now that they've sort of broken ground across there and got things like training venues and there's some experience behind that, and I think the league will learn a lot from it. I think people will want to experience that. I think fans will travel more. I think the people that have gone on, junkets and holidays and tours have come back raving about the weekend and how good it was. It's a long way to go for a game of football in the space of a week, but if they make it the annual event at that time of year to kick off the competition, it's, the aim of it is to sell it to the American public, and that's going to take a long time.
Would you take the Bulldogs?
Eventually.
What's the incentive for clubs to go?
Nothing. There's no financial incentive.
There's none?
No. At this stage. I'd say, I don't know. I don't know. I'd say it's cost them more money.
Well, that's what, yeah. Like if the league wants to take a team over there, they've got to incentive. I mean, it's a big impost on clubs, not just financially.
I would say it was a very expensive exercise, but there would have been a lot of PR and a lot of extra expense in this one, and they'll know how to do it better, and and I think and dealing with the game in that foreign land, they're going to get better at it. But I think people will want to go for the experience to say they've done it. I don't know one person that went that's bagged it that said they didn't have a good time.
No, but
I think more fans will go. They'll want to be a part of it. They'll want to see the stadium. They'll save up now, and now that they've seen what it is, they'll save up and go. And it's a great place to go. I mean, it's a great entertainment. It's entertainment capital of the world. It's a great place to go.
Tell you, the entertainment capital of the world took its toll on a few of my radio colleagues. I may have spoken to one who's a former prolific outside back, played for New South Wales and Australia, Josh Morris, and he is exhausted.
Yeah, I'll bet.
6 tackles trivia, Gus.
I'm just surprised we got everyone home in one piece.
Did you see JT? He was up dancing on the stage. Gee, it's good to see he's let himself go as well, JT. Fair dinkum. What about him? He's ripped still. The most combined points in an NRL match is 102. Newcastle beat Canberra 70-32. Defence optional. And both teams are playing, of course, tomorrow night. Can't wait to get to Newcastle.
I want to know if you're scoring 70, how you've let the other side score 32.
I think it must have just been a shootout. The question is this week, who were the opposing captains for that match? Hint, it was 2006.
What's that, my trivia question, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
So, 70-32, that was in 2006. Newcastle beat Canberra. Who were the captains?
2006. Don't know.
Captains.
Who was it? Raiders and Newcastle.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew Johns?
1.
2006 Canberra. Canberra 2006. Who was a rep player in 2006?
I got a hint, but I think I'll give it away. I'll let you ponder.
Who was a rep player in 2006?
Here's a clue. I reckon you picked him for his Origin debut.
From Canberra.
Because I reckon I was at the game as a young kid.
No.
Sure?
Yeah, no.
Jason Croker.
Was he still going around in 2006?
Yeah, I know. It's amazing, isn't it?
I had him in 1996.
think you might have had him earlier than that, did you not?
No. 96 was his first Origin. Well, it's 10 years later, Jason Croker, eh?
He's the first Canberra player to play 300 games for the club.
He was a star in camp.
Oh, I've heard.
Yeah.
I've heard. Andrew John's very affectionate towards Jason Croker. Were they Tweedledee and Tweedledum, were they?
We called him number 17. He was number 17 on the team sheet, but that's what he became, number 17. He was a star.
Jason Croker, he debuted for New South Wales in 93.
Oh, did he?
And he went on to play, after playing 318 games for Canberra, played 62 for Catland and retired in 2009.
He was a beast. He was a physical beast.
They say that. So that the boys reckon he could hold himself horizontal on a goalpost.
Oh, he was a physical beast. He could walk from Canberra to Sydney on his hands. He was a physical beast. He was a really strong human being.
And a good campaigner in camp.
He was one of the best campers I ever saw. He was very, very good.
Good bloke.
My problem was I had him in the camp at the same time as Brett Mullins.
Oh,
so
they'd just be running off each other.
Well, I had to make Brett Mullins our hall monitor. I said, I need someone that's not going to be distracted by sleep or eating. So he kept everyone in line. He was awake all night.
I wouldn't have thought he'd kept anyone in line. Okay. My team lists were here, but they're gone.
We're doing the games, are we?
Let's preview the games.
Okay.
Let's preview the games. Here we are. I found them again. Now, as I've just put on social media, Vegas, give me Newcastle any day. We're up to McDonald Jones Stadium. They've sold the game out for week 1.
Yep.
Go the Knights fans. I love the Knights. Love the whole Hunter.
Yep.
So it's the Knights versus Canberra coming up. All right, Newcastle, Canberra, and fitting start to the year given all the scenes there week 1 of the finals last year. Now, Jaden Bradley's out with a hammy after overcoming all those. Now, he did a knee last year, didn't he? Missed the whole year.
Yeah, I see.
So he's going to be back, they say, round 2 or 3. Now, young Kai Pearce-Paul, Gus, who you talked about last week, is actually getting a debut on the bench, the back rower. And the conundrum that Ricky Stewart had around the halves has been solved. Ethan Strange, who actually played an NRL game in the centres last year for Canberra, will get the number 6 jumper alongside Jamal Fogarty. They'll give a debut to Morgan Smithies, who is an English international. And it was great to see. Now, talk about football royalty. You talk about Jason Croker, Canberra royalty. Mal Meninga and Glenn Lazarus did the jersey presentation. Zach Hosking makes his debut for the club, and Morgan Smithies as well. Mm-hmm. A couple of stars of rugby league. Newcastle always hard to beat at home and have a formidable team.
Yeah, I think they'll win this. The semi-final last year, which was Andrew Johns described as one of the great days in Knights history. Remember the Raiders went up there with a very understrength side and nearly pulled off the victory. But I would find it I will be very surprised if the Knights don't win this comfortably. Mm-hmm. Comfortably, so I'm tipping Newcastle.
On air from 7:30, live and free on 9 Thursday night footy. Now, the early game Friday is over in New Zealand. The Warriors have Roger Tuivasa-Sheck back, baby. Doesn't he look in rare form in the trials? Luke Metcalf returns at 5'8" after being injured towards the back part of last year. And for the Sharkies, well, it's steady as she goes. They've got a team that's remarkably similar. In fact, almost exactly the same as they've had the last couple of years. The only issue, Chance Nicol-Clustar's unavailable, so Tane Tuapiki is going to play fullback.
Yeah, looks a good player too. Is Nico Hines definitely playing?
Nico Hines is in.
Is he definitely
cleared
playing?
to play after battling a quad complaint.
Yeah, okay. So he's definitely playing.
Well, my information here says he's been cleared to play.
Okay. I think Warrior will be too strong. Yeah, I'm going to go with Warrior. I think they're a pretty good side. Mm. Not that Sharks aren't, but I think Warrior will handle them over there.
Fascinating game, that one, actually. Friday night footy. We're off to Amy Park. 7:30 Friday night. Pappy, he's back. I just looking through these teams, and like they're very formidable teams. Please don't get me wrong, but they look skinnier than they have in recent years. Melbourne and Penrith.
Well,
I'm not saying that they're weak; they're strong, but they look different to how they have, and I suppose that's what the salary cap does. Nick Meaney's, who's done such a great job at fullbacks, playing in the centres for Melbourne. Now, I suppose Munster's the one. I think today was his last day to prove his fitness. I think he said it was a groin, not a calf, when he got out the shower. Mm. Obviously, if he doesn't play, you'd have to say Penrith are near certainties, wouldn't you? Although Melbourne have never lost a round one game, that old stat, under Craig Bellamy's coaching. Penrith don't have Mitch Kenny. He's suspended. Luke Summerton's been named to play in the 9.
Yeah, look, there's some big outs for Panthers, even losing Crichton last year and from last year. Look, and they've been to England. They've got to get over the trip and come back. Melbourne, they looked impressive in their trial. They went out, they took a game to Fiji. They beat Newcastle. I'm just saying Newcastle will beat the Knights comfortably, beat the Raiders comfortably, and Melbourne handled them pretty good over there. It's a hard one. I'll probably lean a little bit to the home side on this one, the Melbourne Storm.
What's Penrith's record against Melbourne? They've beaten them regularly, haven't they, recently? I've got the
Melbourne beat them in a grand final 4 years ago, and I would suggest Melbourne probably haven't beaten them since.
I think that's right, yeah. But you're saying they can?
I think they'll win this one, yeah.
Melbourne for Gus.
I just think they might be a little bit more cohesive. If you remember, Penrith dropped a couple early last year. They got beaten by St Helens and they lost Steve.
Brisbane beat them first up.
Yeah, Brisbane beat them first up. I just think it might take Panthers a little while to warm into their new combinations, and Melbourne Storm, as I said, they redline at the start of the year. They're ready to go. They're up and running at full steam. So I'm going to suggest that Storm could win that game. Be very interesting though. Good to see. It'd be good to see both sides and just get a gauge of how they've got through the off season and what they're doing.
Jerome Luai's in too, by the way. He was missing in the World Club Challenge. That'll make a difference.
Yeah, well, they did. They had a number of players missing, but it's that's going to be their battle for the next couple of years, is getting new kids into the system and bringing them in.
Now, Gus, nothing says 80s more than Para versus Canterbury, eh?
Yeah, always drama when the Earl plays the Bulldog.
The old clash. It's back again. Now, I reckon I'm right in saying it's just about sold out already.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it's just about sold out. New look team for Canterbury. No Micah C, though. 3-game ban. So Simonson's on the wing. Morgan Harper's going to make a debut alongside Will Penasini in the centres for Parramatta. And also Kelma Tuolangi, who came over from Manly. Where do I start with Canterbury? Why not just name the team? Taff, Wilson, Kiraz, Crichton, Adokar, Burton, Hutchison wins the halfback race. King, Marnie, Farmer Silly, Kickow, Preston, Salmon. Then Mann, Hughes, Curran, Moran. And to illustrate that Canterbury have a little bit of depth this year, your extended reserve, Sherry, Sexton, Turpin, Tracy and Kautonga. But that's the way Cameron Ciraldo has lent first up.
Yep.
Your thoughts? Thoughts on the game?
Well, my thoughts are that, I've said this often, time spent playing together is a really important factor. The Parramatta, a lot of this side, the nucleus this side, their front rowers, their halves, their fullback, have been playing together for a long time. So there's natural cohesion there. I think it's going to take this Bulldog team, firstly, to settle on their combination and then get enough consistent football with each other. It's going to take them a while to gel, but they've trained well. They're in good spirits. I know what my goals are for the season, and I think we're hopefully well on track to do that. It'll also be very, very hard to beat. It'll be a great afternoon, and we're looking forward to it immensely. But whatever we do, we'll keep improving.
It'll be a great afternoon. Hopefully the weather's kind. I think it's fine forecast for the weekend and full house.
Fine for the whole week.
Beautiful. Now, if the record in premierships is 102 points, maybe this game will get close. Titans versus Dragons on the Gold Coast.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No?
Oh.
Now, Keeney's playing number one. Jaden Campbell's out for a month, and also Fafita with a peck. He's out for the first month too. Big losses for the Titans early. Pulasia, who came from Brisbane, he's going to start at lock forward. Brimson in the centres, and so they've gone with Foran and Boyd in the halves. And for the Dragons, look, it's largely the same team that they've been playing throughout the trial. So Ben Hunt halfback, Flanagan 6, Sloane's won the fullback jumper. Zach Lomax is on a wing. Eisenhuth's in the back row. Fatala Mariner gets a run off the bench. So two, I don't know, evenly matched teams on paper. Fair comment?
Yeah, I said, I think the Dragon will win.
Dragon?
Yep. Even though it's at the Titans' home ground, I just think Dragons were impressive during the trials, and I think they'll have the defence. I think the better defensive team will win this, and that'll be the Dragon.
Okay. 4 o'clock Suncorp Stadium Sunday. This will be packed out. Dolphins versus Cowboys. All the action from 3 o'clock. Make sure you join us here on 9. Dolphins' new signings, Herbie Farnworth's in the centres. Obviously, Flegler up front. Good-looking pack, this, isn't it? Bromwich, Marshall, King, Flegler, Kafusi, Lemuelu, Stone. Good pack. The other pack's not bad either. McLean, Robson, Talmalolo, Lukey, Nane, Cotter.
Yeah, have a look at their bench. Have a look at the bench.
Granville, Nee, McIntyre, Finnair, Fuiaki.
Yeah, I think that could be the telling difference between these two teams. I think both will play really well. Dolphins at home, we know how they started the season last year. We know how Bennett gets his teams up early. But I think this game might be decided from the bench. I think that bench of the Cowboys looks lethal to me. And after the first foray from both sides, to have that weaponry on the bench, I think is going to be crucial for them. I think I'm really interested to see how Cowboy comes up this year. I really am.
You want to see him fly out of the blocks, don't you?
Absolutely. You know, they spilled their lollies early last year and had too much ground to make up. We saw their potential halfway through the year, but it was you can't make a long run like that to the finals and hope to be there at the end. They need to get on the board early. I think they've learnt their lesson, and I'm expecting them to fly out of the blocks this year. I think Cowboy will be winning that one. So I'm going with Knight to beat Raider. I'm going with Warrior to beat Shark. I'm going to go with Storm to beat Panther, so I've gone home sides. And then I'm going to go Dragon as the away team to beat the Titan and Cowboy as the away team to beat the Dolphin.
Okay. Just noticed too, Nicaragua's playing 6. Sullivan's playing 7 for the Dolphins. And Katoa, who was great last year, is not even in the side. Surprised by that?
There's a couple of selection surprises there, but you never doubt the old master. He knows what he's doing.
Thursday, Friday night, 7:30, and Sunday afternoon, 3 o'clock. All the footy here on 9 across the weekend. I've got to say,
we got way off track today with the podcast, didn't we?
Yeah, well, that's what we like doing. That's what the people love. They love the randomness of Gus. Round 1, part 2. Very good. Look forward to it. Look forward to talking to you next week. Enjoy the footy. That's 6 Tackles with Gus for another week, and we'll be back next Wednesday, wherever you get your podcasts.
This year, NRL on 9 is your one-stop shop for all footy.
That's right, Freddie. Not about the highlights. Action. 7 days a week.
Billy and Gus podcast, get that on your drive on the way home. Immortal Behaviour. Grab a seat on the couch for that. And, of course, my favourite, Freddie in the 8.
The best footy brains, the biggest games.
Don't trust the algorithm. Subscribe to NRL on 9 and get all your entertainment there.